Alright, I'm making this video to help you with your assignment today in accounting. I'm starting with the general ledger. It's where we left off. I'm going to slowly scroll through and show you the accounts that I have. If you need to pause, you can, and make sure you get the accounts and the account numbers. I'm taking my time here. You should have got to the end of purchases, returns and allowances, and then sales, returns and allowances. And so I have added advertising expense and rent expense. Sorry, I'm a little slower there. Make sure you get their account numbers as well. We'll put some transactions here in a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure I showed you that first. I've also added to the accounts receivable ledger. I put all of your names in alphabetical order. You're going to be the people buying on account from us. I may have left out one or two, sorry about that, but I have a feeling you won't complain too much because that just means you have that many less transactions. Okay, I'm going to pause it for a moment, then I'll come back. Okay, I went ahead and made the sales journal transactions, and I've plugged in the sales slip numbers as well as the names of each person we sold to, which is you guys. We should probably put the first on each one of these as well, so I'm going to do that real quick. And the sales tax, I put a formula in for sales tax. It's the accounts receivable debit amount plus or times 0.07 or 7% sales tax to give me $35. So what is my sales credit going to be? If our sales tax payable credit is here and our sales credit is here and our total is accounts receivable debit, then our sales credit has to be the difference between these two. So 500 minus 35. So I'm going to come over here and put a formula in equals 500 minus 35. So the sales credit is going to be 465, the sales tax is 35, and accounts receivable debit's 500. None of you have tax exemption, so I want you to go through and add your purchase amounts and tell everybody else what you would buy purchase-wise, and we'll go from there for our sales. Okay? So I'm going to pause the video for a second and fill mine out, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've added the rest of the purchases that you guys have made. You'll notice that Rain is very fashionable. He had the most purchases. What I'm going to do next is do the totals. So I'm going to put my totals in here, and then I'm going to come over and auto sum these columns. Just like so. I'm going to auto sum the first one, and then I'm just going to drag the formula across. Alright, and so now I have my column totals for these accounts when I need to post them as well. One of the things I want you to be aware of, when I did this formula originally, I just drugged that down after I filled these in, and that gave me all the sales taxes for each person. Same way with the sales credit, I put a formula in that I just showed you about subtracting your accounts receivable from your sales tax, and that gave me the opportunity to just drag that formula down as well. So it's just a bunch of quick drags of formulas, and we have our sales journal done. Alright, the next thing I want you to do is post these items. So let's go here, and we're going to post to each one of you individually. I'm going to pause for a second and go to the ledger and post those real quick, and then we'll talk about what I did after I posted. Okay, I've went through and I've posted all of my stuff into my accounts receivable ledger for each one of you guys. So you can tell I've made all my entries based on the purchases you guys made. I'm going to drag this formula down a little bit. If you notice, I put a formula in where it says equals this amount plus this debit minus this credit. So in the future, if I have any entries, it'll just automatically do the math. I also updated my sales journal to say page 27 as the sales journal page number. I've also added my month and my date. So these are things that you'll want to do as well as you're completing your ledger. The next thing, or the next step I need to do, is to take these account numbers, and I've identified them as 115, 116, 117, 18, 19, and it goes all the way to 123 for London. I made sure to go well above my other assets so I didn't run into any problems as far as numbering those right now. And we don't have too many assets, so we didn't have to worry about it. but that's why I started with 115 up here at the top. So I'm going to go back and transfer these numbers. I'm going to pause it, and then I'll show you the transfer of those numbers. Okay, so I have posted now all of my numbers back to my sales journal. So now all those came from that accounts receivable ledger. So all of my accounts receivables are now posted. I'm going to do column totals for each journal later. I'm not going to do them right at the moment. I'm now going to move into my cash receipts journal, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to pause it, do a few things in cash receipts, and then I'll come back. All right, I've entered now my cash receipts entries. You can make the same ones if you like. There's only 4 entries here. The first one is a sale, just a sale on account, or not a sale on account, just a cash sales credit. There's no reason to put an account title. It usually shows up on the reference document or the document number T or tape 45 in this case. We have sales will be affected, sales tax payable, and then the total of those two will go into cash. All right. The second one is Alayla paying off part of what she owes, $100 plus her $7 in sales tax of that $100 equals a cash debit of $107. Okay. On the other hand, we have, let's see, down here in supplies, we sold some supplies, and it's memorandum 45 denoting that. So we had some excess supplies and we decided to sell them to somebody, and that's for $50, and we received cash for it. So we eliminated supplies and we added cash. And then the last one, Rain, paid for the full amount of what he owed, and because sales and sales tax payable were already taken care of and he paid the full amount, we don't need to recognize any of it in here. We had to on Alayla's because she didn't pay the full amount. Okay, so, and our credits will still equal our debits in this case. Since Rain paid all his off, it's all already taken care of. It's all already paid for. So here we go. Let's now post these items. I'm only going to post the subsidiary ledger items, Alayla's and Rain's first, and then I'll come back and do all the general journal postings. Okay? So I'm going to pause it and do those postings, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I'm in Alayla's journal entry here, and I'm posting the $100 that was paid towards her accounts receivable account. This is for her subsidiary ledger account. So there it is. It's denoted right there, and you'll notice it dropped her balance to $75. I'm also going to go down to Rain's right here, and he's going to pay off all of his. So I'll show you how this entry works. I'm going to put the first. I made it page 28 for the cash receipt, so it's CR 28. It's $855 as a credit because he paid it all off. And his balance is now 0, is what it should show. So now I'm going to take his number, account number 119, and Alayla's account number 117, and we're going to take those back to the cash receipts journal, and we're going to plug those in to show that we posted them. So it was 117 for Alayla and 119 for Rain, and those two are taken care of and posted. So now that I've posted those, I'm going to go ahead and get my column totals and show you how to do that. I'm going to auto sum. Select all these right here, hit enter, and then I'll drag the formula across like so. Some of them are going to have 0, that's fine. And now I should be ready to post some general ledger accounts. I'm going to go all the way back to my cash payments. I don't believe we had any in purchases, but I'll double check. Yeah, we didn't have any in purchases. These are all posted. I take that back. I do have a couple accounts to post you right here, but it's a column total, this 2405. So now we're using the general ledger. So right here in the general ledger, I'm going to post this $2,405 to both purchases debit and accounts payable credit. So let's go find those. I'm going to go over my general ledger. We're looking for accounts payable. This should be the first one. There it is. So we'll go March 1st. Oh, I didn't do that right. I need to put 2016 here, then March, then 1st. Post reference is purchases. I believe we said 25. And it was for $2,405. I'm sorry, accounts payable, $2,405. I'm going to make sure there's no change on that. I'm going to go back and look real quick. Purchases. Nope. Okay, good. So back to the general ledger. And $2,405 right here. It's also going to be the balance. And we'll leave it like that, that column total. I'm going to put some dollar signs on there, actually. I'm going to put a formula in later that'll calculate my balance, but I'm not going to do it right now to save you guys some time. So let's go take the same number. In fact, I'm going to Control C to copy that. I'm going to take it down to purchases. Oh, looky, it's right there. 2016, March 1. Post reference is P25. And this time it's a debit. So I'm going to Control V that, paste it in there. And I'm going to do the same right here just to speed up the process. And there we go. We've now posted those two. So now I need to take the account numbers back. It looks like purchases is going to be my 401 account. And accounts payable is 201. So let's take those back and show you how to post them into the purchases journal. So I'm going to go right here. Underneath here I'm going to put in parentheses. 201, I'm sorry, 401 is going to go first because purchases is on top. 401/201. And then I'm going to close parentheses. And that shows that I posted those column totals. If you want to bold that to show it too, you can. But that's just to show that you posted that. So the next one we're going to post is cash payments. And it looks like I need to post to some more general ledger. Ooh, and maybe even some accounts payable right here. So I'm going to go do that real quick and then I'll tell you about it so I don't run out of time on my video here. So I'm going to go post those real quick and then I'll come back. So I went ahead and posted them all. You can see my post references are here for the cash payments journal. And then I went over to my general ledger and added the ones that I needed to for advertising expense, rent expense, and supplies. And then in my accounts payable ledger, I showed that in the shirt factory and the stink shop, I paid for part of the shirt factory money that we owe and all of the stink shop money that we owe. So that takes care of those postings. If you want to see them in the ledger, oops, I wouldn't need an accounts payable ledger. There's the stink shop. It shows that we paid that all off and that we paid half of what we owe the shirt factory. All right. In the general ledger, there's the supplies amount, the amount that we purchased, $535 worth. As I scroll on down, you can see the expenses as well. There they are. Showed that I paid for those two expenses, advertising and rent. I'm going to pause and do the column totals and then I'll come back. Okay, one of the things that we didn't do at the beginning is we didn't identify how much cash we started with the business, so I'm going to do that real quick. You're going to start with $5,000. So whenever you want to enter that, you might do that before you post your column totals in your from your cash payments journal. So I'm going to pause and do that and finish doing the totals, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've posted the items from the totals of my cash payments journal, and I was going to show you from the start. Here's the ledger for cash showing CP26 on March 1st. I brought a balance over from February 1st to show that initially. There's an X for the post reference because there's no post reference, and you write balance because that's where it came from. So the difference ended up being $1835 because I had a total of $3165 in my cash payments journal credit, my cash credit right here. And then I brought the account number back over underneath. I also did the same for accounts payable debit. I took the 930 in there and plugged it into my accounts payable, and that decreased my accounts payable amount. That looks like this right here. Okay. Next, I'm going to move on to my sales journal. I'm going to pause this, do my sales journal real quick, and we'll go from there. Okay, I've posted my sales journal column totals to accounts receivable debit, sales tax payable credit, and sales credit. I will note that I had to add sales tax payable credit to the liabilities section, and I just inserted it underneath accounts payable, and I gave it account number 203. You may need to do the same. As you post, and I'll show you what that looks like, make sure you're using S27 as your post reference in here. And there's my sales credit post. I'll show you my sales tax payable too. There it is right there. Just added it in right there as account number 203 right above accounts payable. Alright, so that should about do it. I have one more posting to make. I'm going to make those posts for my cash receipts, and that'll conclude this video, and hopefully you will be successful at journalizing and posting special journals. Okay, I've officially posted everything. My entire journal should be posted, and my ledger should show that reference. I've referenced all these over here. The ones with X's don't need references because they were posted either in a column total, in this case, where those three numbers were posted in a column total, or like when we did these individuals, anything that shows up in this ledger, that doesn't need to be posted again. like for supplies, I don't need to post to the general ledger again. So